The Mahabharata culminated in the Kurukshetra War, an apocalyptic conflict that drew the ancient world's most capable fighters into an 18-day slaughter. Yet, the single most lethal combatant alive was entirely absent from the battlefield. He was deliberately sidelined. His name was Barbarika, the incredibly strong grandson of the mighty warrior Bhima. His absence was a strategic necessity. Barbarika's offensive capabilities were simply too absolute to unleash on a fragile world. His terrifying efficiency came down to a minimalist arsenal. Barbarika carried a wooden bow and a leather quiver holding 3 solitary arrows. These 3 arrows functioned as a coordinated system. The first arrow marked all intended targets, the second destroyed those marked, and the third could reverse the destruction entirely. Armed with this guaranteed lethality, he set off for Kurukshetra, supremely confident, knowing he possessed the firepower to end the conflict in seconds. To govern this immense power, Barbarika had sworn a rigid, honorable vow. He would only ever fight on behalf of the weaker side. This noble promise bound him to a sequence of events that would eventually turn his arrows against everyone on the field. Before Barbarika reached the front lines, a traveler in simple robes intercepted him on a dusty path. This was Krishna, disguised, testing his intent. Krishna asked a vital question about this vow. What happens to the balance of power the moment the weaker side suddenly gains the strongest weapon in the world? If Barbarika joins the weaker side A, his attack wipes out the bulk of the stronger side B. Side B is now weaker, forcing him to switch allegiances. He oscillates between sides, dismantling each army until he stands entirely alone. The unthinking application of a good rule results in mutual destruction. Barbarika's power ensured the total collapse of the very world he intended to protect. Recognizing this catastrophic outcome, Krishna understood there was only one way to prevent an endless war. Barbarika had to be removed from the equation completely. Krishna dropped his disguise and asked the young archer for the ultimate, terrible gift. He asked for Barbarika's own head. Understanding the brutal math of his own commitment, Barbarika saw his sacrifice was required to maintain cosmic balance, or dharma. He agreed without hesitation. Before his execution, he made one final, haunting request. He wanted to watch the Great War unfold from beginning to end. His readiness to forfeit his life to protect the world proved a deep nobility, elevating him far beyond a simple weapon of mass destruction. Krishna honored the request, placing the boy's severed head atop a high rocky hill. This granted Barbarika an omniscient view of the valley below. From that vantage point, he watched the grueling 18-day slaughter of the Mahabharata play out, analyzing every tactic, duel, and casualty. When the dust finally settled, the surviving victors, the Pandavas, began arguing bitterly among themselves over whose combat skills had actually won the conflict. To settle the debate, they marched up the hill to ask the only completely neutral observer who had witnessed every single second of the carnage. The men who fought and bled in the valley below had to rely on the boy who was forbidden from drawing his bow to explain what had actually happened. Barbarika's answer silenced them. He stated that he didn't see any of their legendary warriors or divine weapons winning those battles. His singular observation was this: he only saw Krishna. He saw Krishna orchestrating the movements, guiding the fighters, and quietly deciding every outcome. It was a stark contrast. Barbarika represented raw, unthinking physical force, constrained by inflexible logic, while Krishna represented the adaptable, strategic wisdom required to manage a world in chaos. Unmatched strength bound by rigid rules is a liability that destroys indiscriminately. True power relies on the wisdom to maintain the balance.